Welcome to the start of our expedition on board National Geographic Explorer. We're heading off down to the Antarctic Peninsula. We're heading as far south as we can get, and then up through South Shetland Islands, across towards Elephant Island, South Georgia, and then on to the Falklands. An amazing expedition area, truly full of wildlife, amazing scenery, and South Georgia is just the Serengeti of the Southern Ocean, so once we get there, we're going to have a lot of penguins to see. Welcome aboard National Geographic Explorer, and I look forward to sharing everything we've got ahead for you this week.
Halfway the Drake Passage, we found a pod of long-fin pilot whales. Captain is maneuvering. It's a bit shaky, but great looks of it.
We just saw a pod of whales.
Pilot whales.
Yes, and they were very close to the ship, which was really exciting so for pictures.
Good evening, everyone. This is a unique experience. These are a type of killer whale known as Delta or D killer whales, and these are some of the rarest whales in the world. They are very rarely seen. If you have a chance and you're willing and able, please try to come out and experience this. This is extremely rare to see this type of subgroup of killer whales.
Killer whales in the Drake Passage. Type D is super rare, so we should appreciate this moment. Sun's going down, not great photography, but that's wildlife, man. It comes at you.
It's so exciting. It's just a world we haven't seen before. It's magical. Wonderful. Absolutely magical.
We are at the Red Ridge landing site in front of a colony of Adelie penguins, and it's fantastic. You have all of the rocks down to the water and then the snow behind it, and they've all climbed up onto the snow, and we can see some that are molting and many that have finished the molting, and it's very peaceful.
This is the Continental Landing. This is one of the few spots when you get down below the Antarctic Circle that you can actually get to because the sea ice stays here longer. So there's spots that, if they're flat enough for penguins, are flat enough for humans. That's why we go there. These are shags, Antarctic shag. So a lot of these are chicks that are darker. The adults are black and white. So we call this the flying penguin. Because they fly, they are not related to penguins, but the body is black and white and the same size.
We're here on Stonington Island and we're just about to make our visit to the two historic bases that's here, one from the British and also the small one that was used by the Americans during two time periods here.
It's certainly unique. I mean, I've not seen anything like it, but to see all that snow inside that hut there, a dilapidated hut, it's certainly historic.
The British base here at Stonington, it's now run by the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust. It's currently a team of workers here doing some maintenance on it, and it's kind of a living museum. You can go in, have a look through the building, and a lot of the artifacts are left from the 1950s.
This is one of 28 British bases were set up just after the war from 1945 onwards, and this is one of the most southerly, Détail. They had one good season in 1958, but when the ship came early in the season to re-provision them, the ship couldn't get to within 30 miles of the base. There was 30 miles of hard, fast ice all the way out, and the men were told to abandon the site within a couple of hours, bring their personal belongings, bring the dogs and the sleds, and go out to the ship that was waiting for them 30 miles away across the sea ice.
This is like stepping back in time. It is unbelievable. I'm 71 years old. I don't even recognize some of the brands on the cans here. That's just amazing, and all the stuff on the walls, and it's just like boom, they were gone and it's left. And the amazing thing to me is it's still standing after all the harsh weather here in the Antarctic. So a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
This morning we are cruising through the beautiful Lemaire Channel. It's a bit windy and a bit of rain, but the scenery is stunning.
Channel.
Lamar Channel. We are at Lamar Channel. Scenic and very narrow. It's breezy, to say the least. But I'm dressed for it. I'm actually quite hot inside here at the moment.
It is beautiful and cold. Amazing. And we're loving the icebergs. A bit windy. This is that wind they're always talking about, I think.
Welcome to Port Lockroy. Port Lockroy is looked after by the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust. Port Lockroy was first occupied in the whaling period, so between 1911 and 1931. Then from 1944, the British base was created under Operation Tabarin. The base was occupied for generally periods of around 2 years. Science was conducted from the base, upper atmospheric research was conducted from here, and the base was actually closed in 1966.
You know, I just said I think you can tell women have been in here cleaning up.
Seal brains prepared. Penguin's eggs.
Is that something you'd cook at home?
No. But I saw other people did the pork brain.
Around about sometime in the 80s, the penguins decided to move in. So as you can see, there's now lots of Gentoo penguins that we have as local residents that look after the base for us, and we live alongside the Gentoo penguins.
Well, the color palette is kind of boring, but they're quite substantial. They're wonderful birds.
I like the stretching when their little flippers go up. There's a little up, look, a little, they're upset with each other. That's cute.
What do you think?
The greeter. Now he's started to take a rest. I think it's delightful. Very kind of him to welcome us.
This is my friend Baldy.
Baldy, yeah.
He's an expert in humpback whales. He's going to tell us all about it.
They are a prey species. Oh, fursuit.
We are in the Gerlache Strait en route to Wilhelmina Bay, but we've been sidetracked by humpback whales. We're currently on the bow of the Explorer watching groups of humpback whales lunge feeding all around us, both adults and calves. It's an incredible sight to see.
Three humpback whales just in front of the ship here. They're feeding, they're coming up, filling their mouths full of water and krill on a regular basis, and they're staying near the bow of the ship, doing a dive, coming up, taking big gulps of water and krill. Do come out and enjoy this. Spectacular views. It's not time to be napping.
Certainly looks like we've got at least 2 humpback whales that are having fun in the Antarctic waters here, doing a little bit of fluking, a little bit of diving, blowing off smoke, steam, breath. So it's really exciting.
So amazing. It feels so unreal actually to be a part of this in Antarctica. Yeah, say wow, it's awesome. Playing around, I guess. Have a good time in the water, eating some food, maybe some Mexican food. I don't know. Yeah, show the tails, jumping around.
Today we are here at Wilhelmina Bay. Gorgeous day. Keep a distance, but there are whales in front of us. And so we're gonna just see if we can get a little bit closer, but see if we can observe any interesting behavior. So this one is feeding at the surface, just like the ones this afternoon were. And they have baleen. They are filter feeders. And so they'll take in a big gulp of seawater, and then inside of their mouth, they push up with their tongue, and the water goes out of their baleen, but on the inside of their baleen gets trapped all that krill.
Divers or drivers from Rough, 15 minutes to return to the ship, and those of you who are a long way away across the bay, if you could start making your way back to the ship, please.
You're broken up. No, I didn't hear anything. They said come whenever you feel like it.
But it's just a gorgeous sculptural piece of art over here.
This morning we're at Half Moon Island in the South Shetland Islands. Beautiful morning, not too bright, not raining, not snowing. Chin-strap penguins all around us. They're mostly molting. There's a whole bunch of fur seals down on the beach, something that has only been occurring in the last few years, but it's a very good sign because they were almost completely, well, in the South Shetlands, they were wiped out in the 19th century. And today we'll do a couple of different hikes, and it's one of my favorite places because there's lots of lichens on the rocks here from all of the bird poo and the wind. So I'll be busy man today. So this is one of the strongholds of the chin-strap penguin, very common in the South Shetlands and the peninsula in general. The most pugnacious of all of the penguins here. The males can get into some pretty bloody battles in the beginning, but it all works out at the end.
It's fantastic. The animals we are supposed to stay 15 feet, so many feet away from the animals, and they just walk right up to us.
This is the most unbelievable spot I've been to in my life. The seals are right behind us. You walk up and you see the penguins on the rocks. The wind is there. It's really quite the spot. I love it.
It is truly the adventure of a lifetime. It's everything is here that you could possibly imagine.
It's more than I imagined.
Me too.
Well, I hope you're all out on the decks, because this is a grand chance and also a grand vantage point to look to the starboard side and see Point Wild. Wild by name and wild by nature. And this site is one of the epic sites in the adventure of the great Shackleton story. Let's remind ourselves that it was in August of 1914 that Shackleton's expedition set off, and by the January of 1915 their ship was already stuck. The pressure ridges eventually crushed the ship, which sank, leaving the men on an ice camp. What happens then is the ice starts to break up, and the only place they can head to is Elephant Island. Finally, after 6 days of rowing and open ocean swells, Frank Wild comes round 7 miles to the north side here of Elephant Island and discovers this ridge of rock that we see off to the starboard side. They haul the boats up onto that. Shackleton realizes he must go for help. He takes the largest boat, the James Caird, and on April the 24th they set off for South Georgia. There's enough penguins and seals left to build up a cache of meat, and through a long winter they wait and they wait and they wait. It takes Shackleton 4 attempts, and it's not until August the 30th he finally makes it back on a tiny sea tug. They come in, take all the men off, leave everything that's here on Elephant Island. Take a look at those rocks. Would you even want to spend an afternoon there? And remember, this is summer. Think now of having to survive through 4 months of winter, wondering if the boss is ever going to come back and rescue you. What an incredible story.
So we're here at Point Wild, and I'm looking at the promontory where these guys apparently stayed for 4 months waiting to hopefully be rescued, and I can't imagine it. I cannot imagine what it must have been like and what conditions they were under. It is mind-boggling.
Welcome to the South Orkneys. An adventure ahead. So believe it or not, the South Orkneys is this side for the longest human occupation in Antarctica. Pretty much a straight rock looking into the water, and the penguins climbing in and out. That's why sometimes people call them the little mountaineers. So these are southern giant petrels. And lots of Wilsons eating the tiny little bits. Oh, here, coming really close to us on our right. Oh, got it by the wing. The leopard seals make the big meal now and store all that fat for the rest of the winter. Basically skin them by smashing them against the water. They get all the skin out. They do it so hard. That's a big head. That's not a really large animal yet, but still. And this is the time of the year they need to feed on, because it's when the penguins are coming to the water, they don't know how to dive or swim, so they're like floating, peanuts.
Yeah, yeah. We saw the seal eating a penguin, flipping it back and forth. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was great.
Nature at work.
Good morning and welcome to Gold Harbour. We've all got up very early this morning for our first South Georgia experience and also our first king penguin experience. As you look around us, you can see a huge colony of king penguins with spectacular scenery surrounding. It's an absolutely incredible first landing for those of us that made this very, very early start. We're here at the perfect time. We've got huge numbers of adult king penguins, all tending to their chicks over there in the main colony. And the adults now will be foraging lots and lots, trying to fatten up their chicks before the extreme winter period, where they'll have to go long periods of time fasting and waiting for their adults as they venture out to sea on these huge, epic foraging trips.
Just getting up this morning early coming down before sunrise and seeing thousands of these penguins and seals intermingling was so special.
Oh my goodness. This has been a dream, and this is better than the dream. I'm loving every minute of it.
A close encounter. It's very cool. Penguins are very friendly.
Place is sweet. It's a lot of fat animals and formally dressed birds. It's pretty lovely here.
So we just done a nice hike with the fastest hikers here at Gold Harbor. We went uphill quite steeply and went along a beautiful ridge. We have seen stunning sceneries, and now we're back at this wonderful place at Gold Harbor, which is one of my very favorites here on South Georgia.
Oh, good morning. This is lovely here. It's my 72nd birthday today, and what a way to celebrate.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. A little challenging, but you get up.
What a morning. We started off at the end of the beach down here and headed up steep tussocks of grass, many times filled with seals on the way up. Finally got up on top to some fantastic reviews of the other side of the island, and then motored down through the passes in here. Just a delightful run.
So welcome to Cooper Bay. It's never always as calm as this. This is a beautiful day here, and we're going to go in. Got a macaroni penguin colony. You can just see it up in the tussock grass up on the hill up there. So we're going to go in and we're going to have a look at the base of the colony where the penguins come and grow from the water. There's some nice little channels in there. The majority of the crested penguin species seem to like kind of fairly rugged coastline. They don't like nice, flat, easy accessible beaches.
360 degrees of awesome.
It is 360 degrees of awesome. I'm no geologist, but this is probably one of my favourite bits of rock formation on this end of South Georgia in here. There'll be a lot of this year's pups playing in that water, learning to swim and...
It's like a swimming pool, isn't it?
The littlest ones that you can see there are this year's pups, yeah, and there'll still be a lot of the mums. Some of them will still even be suckling.
No worries, we're the friendly Swedish Vikings and Kansas Vikings. We have hot chocolate. You can have it just as it is, or you can add it a little something. Famous of you?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Also very warm. They called it, when they said hot, they meant hot.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers to the Vikings. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's day 2 in South Georgia, and the objective was to have another pre-dawn landing at St. Andrews. St. Andrews is the largest king penguin colony on the planet. We did so on a perfect day. Perfect conditions, no wind, pre-dawn coming ashore, where all you can hear is the sound of penguins. You don't really know what you're getting into until the sun slowly starts to rise. It was a beautiful, beautiful pink. We had penguins silhouetted against a perfectly glorious sky. And then as the light kind of begins to rise, you see the mountains in the background, Mount Paget in the distance, the tallest peak on South Georgia. And people are just awestruck. It's just been wonderful looking around and seeing everyone's reactions to what has been an absolutely glorious, glorious morning.
The nursery is out in force. I saw a lot of babies' bones. Probably the giant petrels got them. The rides have been wonderful. Let me see. I would say it's magnificent and incredible. I was aiming more for the penguins to do something unusual rather than just standing around. It's just incredible.
We're here at Ocean Harbour at South Georgia, and again we're doing a bio blitz for Lindblad National Geographic. Today we're going to be going ashore, and everything we see under our feet, on the slopes and in the water, we're going to be recording and uploading to iNaturalist to get the first snapshot of biodiversity here at South Georgia that's been done by citizen scientists for Lindblad National Geographic.
We're at Ocean Harbour, taking a series of photographs of what we suspect might be invasive species to the area. And so far we have definitely found dandelions and some other moss that is normally not found here. And with the hope that some of these invasive species can be eradicated, giving a chance for the native to continue growing here.
For me, when we travel to these amazing places, we have a privilege of seeing these fragile ecosystems in the first person. Citizen science is a way for us to contribute back to these environments. By a small amount of our time and contribution of photos, we can change how these places are managed for the future generations.
We're in Fortuna Bay. We got up super early to hike Lake Shackleton. Apparently there's a big hill, and then kind of a saddle, and then a hill, and it's gonna be fun.
Let's have fun, let's get to the other side.
Fantastic day to be
doing the Shackleton hike. We are on the footsteps of what Shackleton and his men did. They came across from that side of the island and realized they were on the wrong side, had to up climb a little bit more and cross a glacier to get to the point where we are.
Retracing the last 6 kilometres of part of Shackleton's trip down into Stromness. It's a very hard walk. The first probably 2 kilometres is constantly uphill, across shale, through some soft, mossy ground. The group's really stretched out. I'm not the world's fittest person, but I could do it. But I wouldn't do it if you couldn't cope.
Fairly close from here, they could hear the whistle of Stromness station, and they realized they were in the right place. And that was the first human sound they hear in the last 2 years of their expedition.
Spectacular. It's just beautiful. I can't imagine what it would be like to do this in May, but I've done it. It's great.
What a sight, yeah, I know, to come down after all that walk and getting wet
and going the wrong way.
Going the wrong way. Wow, look at that.
Quite an operation.
So it's a great way to stretch our legs. The group is having a lot of fun. Weather like this is not regular in South Georgia. It's our 3rd day with this type of thing, so we're taking the best advantage of that.
We've landed here in Grøtviken, the greatest of the Norwegian whaling stations. Set up by a remarkable character, Carl Anton Larsen, who came down on the Nordenskjold expedition, was wrecked in his ship, but when he was finally rescued and sent back to Buenos Aires, he said to the Argentinians, "Why you no catching the whales? There are many whales down here." Yeah, when he got back to Argentina, he started his own company with the help of the Argentinians to come down and whale here. And classic Norwegian, they built an extraordinary base here. But there was such a big population here of hundreds of men that it wasn't just a whaling station, it was a community. And you can see all the paraphernalia of a modern whaling station in which every part of the huge whales that were hauled ashore here, they were cut up, the blubber was used, the meat were used, even the oil from the bones was extracted, and the bones were turned into bone meal. It's an extraordinary living piece of archaeology here now, and we will have the wonderful opportunity to stroll among it and look in a smart little museum here too.
We're here on Pryan Island in the Bay of Isles at South Georgia, and we've got the first groups ashore and walking up to see the wandering albatross. This is the only place in the world where we can take visitors to see wandering albatross unless you're a researcher. We've got a boardwalk here on the island, so it's fairly easy to get people up, and we've got 2 easily accessible wandering albatross nests up on the island and a few birds further back in the tussock for us to have a look at. So 2 really good viewing spots up here.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Look at this.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Look at mine, look at that.
Great weather here at South Georgia, and this morning it continues as well. We've got nice calm seas here at Pryan Island, and we're just taking advantage, getting in here earlier in the morning and getting everybody up to have a look at the albatross up on top.
This is Right Whale Bay on the northwestern side of South Georgia. We are here in this weather because this is the day that we are here, and we use every day to the fullest. Well, it's moist, good for the skin, a little bit of wind, maybe 20 knots, maybe a little bit more. The gusts, lots of fur seals, pups and moms, and a few young males practicing being beach master. Well, it might get better than this, but it's pretty good, thank you. Beautiful South Georgia weather.
Lovely day, lovely day.
Typical day in South Georgia.
Shower, he's just taking a shower, look at it.
Oh yeah.
After 2 days at sea from South Georgia, we've made it to the Falkland Islands, and our first landing is Bull Point, at the southernmost point of East Falkland Island. Already found some gentoo penguins and some upland goose and Magellanic penguins, all of them molting, so we hope to find many other things as well. We've never been here before. It's a fantastic place, a long sandy beach, and there's quite a bit of bird life around the ponds further back. We're going to go check them out.
We are at Long Island on the Falklands, where we are looking at a farm where Glenda and her son is showing their business here and how they run their farm.
So first thing going to happen today then, we're going to cut some peat for you. Should have been cut by hand the old-fashioned way. Then we just take off the top side here, break it down into 4 tall sections. After when it dries out, it loses about 2/3 of its size. So you actually have to throw it far, you just flick it. You missed it. You just cut it out, spread it on the bank, like you can see over there, and leave it to dry. It normally takes about a month to dry, especially this time of the year with it being so warm at the moment. On farm we run a few over 2,000. We have a sharpened comb and cutter. It's the same principles of barber's clipper. So our season typically starts in October, and we go out on a couple of motorbikes, a couple of horses, take the dogs. We gather in the 1-year-old sheep, the hoggets, and we bring them in sort of like end of October and shear them. That's separate. We keep that separate because there's a lot of stain in the belly. It comes naturally separate anyway.
Family farm here on East Falklands, and they said they manage it as partly the sheep shearing and then partly the revenue from the tourist industry, which is kind of cool. Very different than what we've done earlier on this trip. I think that was my favorite part, actually, just to see something totally different. We're not shearing penguins, shearing sheep and talking about yarn and wool. It's just, I don't know, you can kind of feel the family vibe here. It's a lot smaller and community based.
I'm Tim Miller. My wife Jan and I run and own Stanley Growers. We've been doing it now for nearly 30 years next month, and we grow everything here, all the salads, hydroponics. We're the main commercial growers here on the islands. These are all on a slope, so we're at the bottom end.
Sure,
that slope's about 12 inches, about 30 centimetres higher up the top end. And in fact, National Geographic, some of our oldest customers, you've been with us right since the very early days when you first started coming down this way, way back in the 1990s. So you're our favourite ships, our favourite customers, without a doubt.
You've heard of the restaurant at the end of the world. This is the greenhouse at the end of the world. Well, we experienced one of the most southerly, if not the most southerly greenhouse in the world, and very interesting. A lot of mixed vegetables of almost all kinds, and very innovative, all hydroponic, and generally very good quality. I'm looking forward to dinner tonight.
So yes, so we hopefully you will all enjoy eating them over the next couple of weeks.
This morning we've come to Carcass Island. It's one of the outer islands west of West Falkland. We've come to visit the McGills and walk around on their rat-free island and also enjoy a nice proper British tea and cakes. So after doing our walks, we've come down to Settlement and had a great time talking to the local folks and enjoying our tea.
I just maybe start at this end and work my way down.
The second one's got jam in. Jam? Yeah. The second one's got jam.
The next one, the brown one.
All the things I didn't know that I needed.
That's good. the best is the
But it's so good.
Very, very good.
So welcome to West Point. We're here above the black-browed albatross colony. Just a few weeks ago this will have been absolutely covered in rock hoppers as well, and there's still a few straggling throughout the colony. On this island here we have 22,000 pairs of black-browed albatross and 11,000 pairs of rock hopper penguins. So if you look out to sea, you can see all of the adults soaring around in the fairly still conditions today. They're going out thousands of kilometers searching for the next meal for these chicks. Whereas the rockhoppers, they're now moving slowly down to the shore. Any day from now, they'll be fledging. And they'll disappear out to sea and they won't touch land again until the beginning of next breeding season.
We're looking at fledgling black-browed albatross.
All the way.
And they're beautiful.
Long way to come for this.
Anybody who can should come down here. It's an amazing place. So many beautiful animals and beautiful scenery. It's one of the best places in the world I've ever been.
Albatross were absolutely breathtaking. They were fantastic. They are beautiful, beautiful birds, and we are lucky to have them on our planet.
Beer and soft drink?
Yeah, I'll just have a little one, not a big one.
They are hot.
Trip of a lifetime.
Trip of a
I mean, look at this weather, having here.
Anything amazing.
Everything, yeah. Really amazing. Thank you guys.
Great. We've had our guacamole hamburgers the other day, and now we have our hot dogs. We can go home. Oh, yeah. God bless America.
Well, we're here on West Point Island on West Falkland, and it's the last day of our expedition. We've just had a fantastic expedition to the Antarctic, South Georgia, and finished up with 3 really good days here in the Falkland Islands. We've had great weather at South Georgia, amazing sunrises with the king penguins, and now to make our last landing here at West Point Island. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for travelling with Lindblad and National Geographic, and hope to see you back on board in the very near future. Thank you very much, and safe travels home.